Hey y'all, it's your favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I am back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Summer House, Martha's Vineyard, Season 8, not Season 8, Season 2, Episode 8. All right, tonight's episode started off where the last one ended with Bria and Simon arguing, and they're like going back and forth. And obviously, Simon is drunk and Bria is drunk, but Simon's drunk is just a little more like off than Bria because she's angry. So she seems more like she's got it together, but obviously not. And she's talking about how Simon doesn't respect her because she specifically told him not to wear that little flamingo suit and he did it anyways. And so he doesn't really respect her feelings. And mind you, they're having this whole argument and like the party is still going on downstairs. So at the same time, Summer had left the party early because she didn't really feel good about drinking. So she didn't drink at this party. And then after not drinking, I think she realized, like, I don't know, she just was in her field. So she had to go up early. And so she went up. And then Jasmine went to check on her and one of Jordan's friends. And I have been pulling and saying that Jasmine has really shown a different side this season. And she's really being a good friend. Like, Jordan and everybody was talking about her last season, and she internalized all those comments and wanted to do better. Like, she really is actively showing herself being a better friend than she was. And I love that for her. Like, seriously, she has earned her spot again for season 3, in my opinion. Um, so then sh Summer's talking about how she wants to, like, she didn't drink and that she really wants to fix her relationship sober. Like, she doesn't want to be like drunk and fighting and all this stuff. And so she really wants to kind of have like a clear head when she's talking to people and dealing with her friends and stuff. And I think that's a really good thing. Like, I think she really must have reflected on her behavior. And I know, like, now there's a bunch of tweets and people saying this and saying that, but she realized that in the moment and was like, whoa, I'm tripping. She didn't need our tweets to realize it. She didn't need the Instagram and Twitter hate to realize it. Like, she literally was like, whoa, I am tripping, and decided to change up her behavior. And honestly, I got to stand because that takes a lot, right? Instead of blaming others and kind of like lashing out, which she originally did, but to realize and have that introspection to be like, I'm tripping and I got to do better. And she was able to do that. And so, like I said, Summer, I'm a fan. I appreciate that behavior because it did not take for it to air and for Twitter to go off for you to be like, oh, yeah, I might have been tripping, which is better. So then Bria, on the other hand, storms out on Simon and like she's crying, she's sitting there, and Amir goes to check in on her, and she's like, "Oh, I don't know," and that, she crying because Bria is kind of a little crybaby, a little bit, not too much. Um, and he's like, "Oh, me and Natalie argue all the time. Nobody's perfect," and whoop de whoop de whoop, and it's like you would understand what she's going through because you also have a non-black partner. Interesting. But yeah, then Simon comes in to talk and like Amir starts scolding him like he is wasted. He's trying to act like he's not drunk, but it is so obvious that Amir is drunk. It's insane. Um and when Simon talks to Bria, to me it comes off that Simon just really likes attention. And he's dating someone who also really likes attention. And those two people like work, but it also doesn't work. And I think that's just what we're seeing. We're seeing two people who want to be the center of attention. And you really can't date yourself, is what I've learned. Um, and so I guess she walks off again. And then she goes to call her mom because she's packing Simon's bag, literally packing this man's bag. She calls her mom and she's like, you know, I'm telling him he has to leave. I'm gonna book him a night at the hotel and da 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 and whoop de whoop. Because she, so this is a point that she kept on making that really stuck out to me and made me feel like he's there for attention. He's there to get on camera. He's there to be seen. Because she's like, as soon as he found out he couldn't stay as long as he wanted, he started acting up. Why would not being able to stay as long as you want make you mad? Like, you can't stay in the house that long, but that doesn't mean you can't stay in Martha's Vineyard. That doesn't mean you can't see your girl. It just won't be like on camera. So the fact that he is upset that his interactions with her, all of them won't be on camera, or like he won't be able to be in the house, is upsetting you this much, that's an attention seeker, babe. Leave him. I mean, obviously, you have to be a little bit of an attention seeker to want to be on reality TV, but like a healthy amount, right? But I think Simon is, even though I mean, I feel like Simon is who he is, but I feel like you're also like that. So the two of you really probably shouldn't work. But it's funny because when she's talking to her mom was like, "Don't do that. Don't make him leave." And I'm like, she must be calling her mama anytime they argue, and her mama is fed up. She's just like, don't make him leave, let him stay, it's not a big deal. I'm like, because that was the voice of someone who is like, again, we doing this again. And I mean, if it were me, and maybe, I don't know, I don't have kids that are dating or anything, but I feel like I would be like, leave them then. Like, stop calling me, leave that person, stop, end it. If it's too much, if y'all doing this all the time, this back and forth, end it. Because prior to him coming here, y'all hadn't seen each other in a month. Like, I'm not saying long distance isn't possible. I'm not saying people can't do it, but I'm like, y'all just might be two people who cannot do the long distance thing. Like, maybe it's just y'all. Who knows? Um, and then the next day, the house is a mess per usual. Like, I feel like, I'm not saying that parties are clean, but I just feel like the house is always a mess. Like, I don't know. If I have a party in my house, like, I don't like to go to sleep in mess. So I wouldn't be able to rest until I at least get a majority of everything cleaned up. Like, it doesn't have to be spotless, it don't have to be 100%, but I like to at least be like, okay, the trash is in the trash, like the dishes are in the sink, like everything is where it needs to be taken care of. But they be just everything is just thrown everywhere. It's like, okay, y'all messy, we get it. But Preston and Donald woke up and was like cleaning everything up. Shout out to them, because it was like 100 people were in that house, but it probably was just like 25. Um, Noelle and Bria are gonna go talk, like, just gist, because I think, Bria's upset about everything that happened with her and Simon. So she kind of wanted to chat with Noelle about it. And then Shanice comes, and then Natalie comes over, and I'm like, these the same girls that wasn't your vibe last night. Now you want to do girl talk with them? That's suspicious, right? So they go, and Bria's venting to them about how she's always very respectful when he's at his events and stuff like that. And like, but he doesn't return the same grace. And then, because I think this is important to note, Natalie brings up Nick partying while Tasia's like in the bed and trying to go to sleep or whatever, but he's still out there having a good time. And okay, I think she was trying to steer the conversation because she was looking for a way to be messy. You are sitting with three girls who like the chisme, and you know that. And so you try to like sneakily bring up Nick and Tasia. That's what I think happened. Like, when I rewatched and rethought about it, I really think she was trying to like slick the conversation in. Like, y'all, no one was talking about Nick and Tasia, but then you bring it up. So then these three gossip loving girls, you know, They like the gossip, they like the fun. So then they start talking about how he's handsy and how, you know, he is very flirtatious. And Bria is like, I think if, he's in one of them little flirty moods and someone gave him the opportunity, Nick would try it. Now, again, this is the edit of the conversation. So I don't know to what extent other stuff was said, but the way the conversation sounds, it's like everybody's talking about stuff he's done in the past to others, not them specifically. And then Bria makes her comment about how he would take it there with someone. Like, she didn't say her, she just said generally. It was a very general conversation, but it was about Nick. And like I said, this conversation was already had, and deaded. But I don't know if they know that it was had and deaded, but this is reality TV. They got to rehash stuff sometimes 4 or 5 times before it's really dead. But what I didn't like is here comes Lil Miss Natalie talking about, oh, well, I need to bring this up to Tasia because she needs to know what her man is doing. And yes, the girls might have said, like, I wonder what Tasia thinks about it or whatever, but no one really thought it was necessary to bring it up to Tasia because even Noelle was like, well, I don't know if we need to do all that, and everybody was just kind of looking around and quiet and not saying they weren't curious what she thought. And Bria talked about how she brought it up last time. She's like, well, I'm not bringing it up again because I brought it up last time and I was kind of like ignored. So she's like, I don't need to, walk down that road again. But Natalie, I feel like she was really being intentionally messy. I think she wanted to have a moment. That's what it feels like. And honestly, if you notice, I didn't really talk about Natalie last episode because I don't want to talk about her. I don't want to talk about the auxiliary people like her because I don't want them to feel like they had a moment. But then she inserted herself all through this episode, and now I got to talk about her. So here I am talking about Natalie. She made herself very relevant this episode, so I had to. But yeah, so then Nick is talking about, like, so that ends, and then Nick is talking about Tasia, and he's like, my mom told me, like, Nick, all of the girls are going to be beautiful, but what else? And he's like, and Tasia has the what else. I believe that for him. Like, I think she comes off as a very classy, hardworking, well traveled woman. Like, based on the stuff that they've said about her, the stuff that she's done, I personally like Tasia. I feel like Tasia done said about maybe 6 words total on camera. Like, dead ass. I feel like she's only said maybe 6, maybe 7, but she's likable. She comes off like very sweet, very calm. You know, I like how she comes off. Again, she could be faking it. Again, it's very easy to fake if the cameras are not always on you, you're not always there. But, she comes off very likable. I like her. She seems very sweet. Like, I no issues with Tasia Hare, very beautiful girl. Um and it's funny because then, Nick's talking to her like, oh, are you ready for the bike ride? Because the whole group is supposed to go bike riding, to brunch. Like, they're supposed to drive to some place, get the bikes, and then bike to where they're having brunch. And so they say they're going to go, bike ride. Everybody's supposed to go. Donald and Preston are not bike riding, and Bria and Simon are not bike riding, but everybody else is supposed to. Amir is drunk as a skunk or hungover. I say drunk as a skunk. He was drunk as a skunk the night before, so now he's very hungover. And so, everybody's talking about the bike riding, and Tasia's like, "Oh, I was supposed to borrow clothes from, Natalie. I guess probably to bike ride because she didn't bring anything." And I love how Nick took accountability. He goes, I forgot to tell her that we were going to do this little bike ride. So she didn't bring anything for that. And so now, I asked her if she felt comfortable riding in her dress. She said she didn't. So we're not going to do it. Like, he was definitely like, boom, 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 simple. No trying to cajole, no trying to convince. He was just like, nope, not doing it. She's not comfortable. Boom. And, kind of like, okay, Nick, you doing it, Because a lot of people would have been like, oh, we're on camera. This is one of the activities. But he was just like, she's not comfortable, so we're not doing it. Boom. Simple. Um, then yeah, so they all go. So then Bria and Simon decide to have a little one-on-one again because they've been trying to have a conversation, but they can't really have it. So they're finally having this conversation that needs to happen basically while they're sober. And she's saying to Simon, like, oh, I always respect your events when I go. I don't go and do silly stuff and whatever, whatever. And he was like, you don't act up. Last event, you just got up and walked out. Girl, you. So I'm thinking, okay, she got up and walked out. Bria is known to be, to get up and walk out. But then she's like, I didn't just get up and walk out for no reason. I got up and walked out because your friends and family and da 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 was making snide little racist comments. What? Girl, I'm not saying that people don't make racist comments. They do. But if your man, who is also white, doesn't immediately hop up and cut the shit, you should have left Germany and blocked his number. That is how that should have went. You should have left Germany and you should have blocked his number. Because what do you mean people can say racist things to me, your girlfriend? And not just coworkers or friends, but family. Because she's saying the cousin was also saying racist stuff to her. And she feels like he doesn't protect her. What? I understand that Simon is German, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't understand racism. In fact, I would say he probably understands it much more than you would think, being German. Like, how do you not know that, hey, I'm dating a black girl? She not ambiguous. Bria is black, okay? She's not ambiguously black. She's black. Her skin is black. She's about my tone, you know? And you're with this person and you don't understand how racism could potentially be an issue when you're white. So either Simon is an idiot, possible, or he wants to pretend to be an idiot. It's one of the two. Either you're that dumb and you're like, oh, what? Racism, huh? What's that? Or you want to pretend to be an idiot because you don't want to actually have to deal with defending the person you're with. But if you don't feel comfortable enough to defend the person that you have chosen to be with in terms of people saying racist things and treating them badly, then you probably should just go date a white girl. That would be so much easier. That ain't no problem. I wouldn't judge you if you left Bria and dated a white woman. Hey, racism is not my fight. I don't, and guess what? I don't have to fight it. Not saying he shouldn't, but Simon do not have to fight racism. It is not part of his life. So he doesn't have to. But if you are going to date a black woman, it's a fight you're going to have to take up, especially when it's your own family, friends, coworkers doing the racist acts. Like you cannot let that shit slide. Like, you can't. You cannot let that shit slide. And the fact that Bria was actually willing to give him a second chance, like they actually resolved themselves at the end of this, I said, oh, you're the problem. Because he want to play a fool and you're agreeing. You're like, okay, you're a fool. That's fine. No, I have nothing against interracial relationships. Please date, marry, befriend, however, whoever you want. But if you're going to be with somebody, they have to understand your struggle. whatever that struggle may be. Some struggles are small, some struggles are larger. Racism is a large struggle. And if you aren't going to be there to defend them, cover them, protect them, love them, then leave them alone. And if you, as the Black person, aren't going to hold them accountable to do that for you, then I can't help you, baby. You will continue to suffer. When you go to Germany, when you're in different places, it doesn't really matter where you go because you don't have that. You don't have that defense. And that's supposed to be your man. So you're going to be many places where it's just you and him. I don't know. That's risky biz, baby. I don't know if you want to do it. I'm not saying what to do, but I would not. Um anyways, the rest of the people are out there bike riding to the brunch spot. Obviously Nick and Tasia just drove straight there to get the reservation. Amir is dying on the bike because he's super hungover. Um, then my favorite was the producers. Production asked Nick, "Well, why haven't you asked Tasia to marry you?" Because I guess he's talking about how like she's basically that kind of girl, and he goes around in a lot of circles. Well, because okay, I remember how it happened. He basically said something about her being Mrs. Arrington or whatever. So then production asked him about marrying her. And let me just say, Nick said a lot of nothing. That's all I'm gonna say. He went and was like, and this and that, and whoop and whoop and whoop. And Nick is very long winded, or so that's how they portray him to be. And he said a lot of nothing to say that there was no reason. There was no reason. There was ultimately no reason why he hasn't married her, why he hasn't asked to marry her or whatever. It was basically just man double speak that means nothing, but it sounds good and it's long winded. That was pretty much what it was. Um, then they all show up to brunch and they're chilling whatever, and they're like, hey, we kind of have to hurry up because Donald and Tajar, they have to leave. They're leaving straight from brunch, so can we hurry up and order and whatever. So Natalie, who is like, oh, should I bring it up to her, whatever, because she had already spoke to Amir, and Amir was like, yeah, you have to do it as her friend. Are you crazy, Amir? Why does she have to do anything? Why? You're trying to create a moment. No, no moments for you, Natalie. Like it, I. So she gets up. She gets her raggedy self up, walks over to Tasia. See, now if she had come over to Tasia and just said, hey, Tasia, can we talk? That's one thing. That's one thing. No, she gets to petting the girl like she's a freaking dog. I hate when people do that, especially non black people. When you start petting the hair of black people while you're talking to them, why are you doing that? And I'm just like, why would you, what are you doing? And she's like, can we talk? And Tasia's like, no. I love that girl. I'm telling you, she done said only like 6 words. She was like, I think, and then after that, she's like, I'm about to leave. Like, whatever you have to say, I don't care. I'm about to leave. It's unimportant. I am so glad that Tasia did not play into it. She didn't even give her any type of time. I'm like, oh, thank God. But I think, okay, now I'm gonna say this, and I don't know because Tasia don't really talk, and we don't really get her opinion, and we don't know where she stands. But I feel like one, I like her. She's real. She gonna stand by her man. But two, I kind of feel like, and again, this is just my personal thought, she likes to keep her head in the sand a little bit with Nick. I think she likes to be able to say, my man, my man, my man, because Nick is very accomplished. He comes off well. He's a kind of cool dude. He looks good. He dresses well. He is accomplished. And I think she likes to be able to say, my man, my man, my man. And because of that, she kind of don't want to know. Do not come to Tasia as a woman. Tasia is not that girl. She don't care. I don't care. She doesn't want to know. Do not come to Tasia as a woman. Tasia don't want to hear it. She don't want to hear it. And, it gets really awkward, of course. Um, because of course you just tried to pull Tasia away from the table while everybody's sitting at it. It's gonna get awkward. And so now Natalie is like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Did I do something wrong? What did you think? What did you think the end result was going to be of you pulling a girl away, one, from her man, two, from an entire table of people to tell her that people think her man is whatever? What I can't even imagine what Natalie thought or how well she thought that was going to go over. Girl, if you felt so strongly, you should have just texted her the shit after she's gone. But to try and cuz that's embarrassing too. Now you're trying to pull her away from the table, tell her all this tea, and now she's going to come back to the table and be angry? Like what did you think was going to happen? Like it was stupid. Just stupid. So, anyways, Natalie's now embarrassed. She goes and sits down. Preston, Nick, Tasia, and Donald leave because they have a flight to catch. So it's like, girl, what? You just wanted to send her off mad? Like, it really didn't make no sense. Um, Nick texts Natalie and says, Tasia didn't really like that. Like, she didn't really like what you did. And Natalie then exposes the girls and basically like was like, "Oh, I was just doing what they blah blah blah." They didn't tell you to do that. They didn't. You chose. You said, "I want to do this." Yes, they were having the conversation. Maybe they were wrong about that, but they did not tell you to go tell her. You chose. You said, "Oh, she's my friend." Tasia's not your friend because she's angry and she didn't even text you. Nick had to text you and be like, "What the hell?" Like, what are you doing? So obviously Nick is upset, and Amir is trying to be like, oh, it's okay. I'll talk to Nick and blah, blah, blah. He's trying to calm her down because she just got embarrassed because Tasia didn't even pay her no mind. And now Nick is basically like reprimanding her, like, what were you trying to do? And she feels foolish, as she should. I'm glad, actually, I am so glad it turned out that way because, like, what were you trying to do? You were trying to shame her and she shamed you first. That's all that happened. And now you're trying to like play like, oh, she's my friend and I feel bad and no, no. You knew what you were trying to do. You were trying to be shady and the shade caught you first. That's all that happened. Um, so then, everybody else leaves brunch and basically like while they're in the car, Noelle is asking Alex, like, oh, do you wish you had a girlfriend for the couples weekend? And obviously, he basically said no. But what seems kind of nice is it seems like, despite the initial embarrassment between Noelle and Alex, it seems like she's kind of recovered nicely. Like, she's not too stressed over their relationship or whatever. She's able to kind of interact with him normally and not like feel awkward, asking him about girlfriends and relationships and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. Um, and then they all make it home, but Nick and Preston make it home first, and Nick basically starts talking to Preston about it, and he's like, "Dang, I thought we did that shit," and whatever, whatever, and he's kind of like upset. And I get it; he should be upset. Like I spoke to the people who I know that I may have gotten handsy with, and we kind of came to a conclusion that that wasn't the case, or it was the case, but it wasn't a big deal. Okay. Because they didn't say that he wasn't handsy. They just said, we're not worried about you being handsy. We're worried about you respecting your girl, whatever. Um, and then Simon comes like when everybody gets back, Simon comes immediately and he apologizes to Nick, which, accountability is good. If Simon can realize, hey, I messed up and come apologize, I am always a fan of people apologizing. I think it helps. I think it helps people move forward. Even if Nick was like, oh, I'm not taking it that serious, it's still nice. It's still a nice gesture. So I do appreciate Simon for doing that. But then Nick kind of is like, kind of getting really upset about, what Noelle, Shanice, and Bria were talking about. So he basically starts going off on Noelle when she comes down and is like, I know you want to be included, but you're not. It's not about you, and da 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 da. And I'm like, dang, he's for real mad. Like, and I get it. Like, y'all are trying to ruin my relationship. Like, I have one, and y'all are trying to ruin it, and I don't know why. So I get why he's mad. But Noelle is kind of like, okay, you tripping on me, but it was just a conversation we were having. No one wanted to bring it up to your girl. Like, well, not none of the three of us wanted to bring it up to your girl. It got brought up to your girl, not from us, or tried to, but not from us. And, but he's still mad. So then she calls Shanice and Bria to come down, and Shanice comes down, and Shanice, girl, he's like, I'm handsy with you, Shanice. And she's like, no, but you have wandering eyes. Shanice, I think you have worn clothes exactly 3 days. like, girl, anytime. In fact, even when you put on clothes, you end up with your top off or naked before the end of the night. And honestly, your housemates are very kind to not be going off on you about it. They're like, okay, she's trying to have fun. They don't get mad. They let it go. But you're naked. People are going to look when you're naked. It don't matter where it is, when it is. You see a naked body, you looking. I'm sorry. If you don't look when you see a naked body, comment below. Tell me that, hey, I see a naked body and I look away. Everybody else I know be looking at naked bodies like this. Like, you want to see. You pretend you don't want to see. You act like it's nasty, but your ass be like trying to look because it's a naked body and you want to see it. I don't know. There's something provocative and you just can't miss it, right? You're like, this is weird. This is nasty, but also, hmm, right? Like, I don't know a single person that if someone got naked in front of them today, gay, straight, whatever. So I'm not even trying to make it like sexual. Like, it's not even a sexual thing. I just genuinely think most people are going to look at a naked body in front of them. You take off your clothes right now, I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna want to look. It's not like, oh, I want to see this person naked, but it's also like they're naked. Okay, interesting. Like, I don't know. I feel like everybody's gonna look. If you're somebody who, if someone gets naked in front of you, you would turn away for real and not turn away while peeking. Let me know because I just can't imagine it. I'm looking. I don't know. I'm always looking. Um, so I just think it's unreasonable for Shanice to say his eye is wandering when she's always naked. Like, you can't really make that claim. I don't know. Then Bria comes down last. So he's spoken with Noelle. Noelle's like, come on, let him know that we wasn't talking about him like that. Like, we wasn't trying to cause an issue. And Shanice says that his eyes wander. He's not handsy with her, whatever. And then Bria comes down. And I'm not saying that the rest of them argued better. Like, even Noelle was like, oh, why is he getting so mad if he doesn't feel guilty? Because, girl, y'all was trying to ruin his relationship and say something to his girlfriend. That's why he's mad. Noelle is still that girl to me. Sorry, I know a lot of people are like, oh, she messed up. Okay, yeah, she messed up, but she's still that girl. But I don't agree with that. Him being guilty or not guilty has nothing to do with how angry he is. I think he's angry because y'all was trying to embarrass Tasia. And I think that's part of it. Like, the way Natalie went about it was trying to embarrass that girl. And that's raggedy. No two ways about it. Um, but I think that so when Bria comes down and Bria, he's like confronting her, he's like, I'm handsy with you and da 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 da. Production has a really bad habit of replaying clips that have nothing to do with the commentary being made. Because she's like, no, I didn't say you were handsy with me. And then production replays her saying that if Nick had a chance in one of those moments, he'd probably go there. That has nothing to do with him being handsy with her. She never said he was handsy with her. She never implied it. She just said if he had the chance to go there with someone who was willing, he might take it. That is not, I think that's a different comment, which, I'm not sure if she's wrong, to be honest. No one has obviously given Nick the chance. So they haven't really been put in that position. But it's like, maybe, especially with some of the DMs he was sending last year. So you never know, right? But what I don't like about Bria is she got to yelling. Nick was trying to confront her, and she was just like, da 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 da, and blah blah blah, and yelling, and he yelling, and they going back and forth. She's like, okay, Nick, and she just kind of being real like mouthy. And I feel like Bria does that. That is the way she talks to people. Like people will confront her. Mariah did it, Summer did it, Preston did it, Jasmine did it. Everybody has had an issue with Bria, and her immediate reaction is to start popping off. Just, oh, okay, and being real disrespectful. And I'm like, and then, because the thing is, he was able to apparently squash it with Noelle and squash it with Shanice in that moment. And when he was talking to Bria, because she was going off and getting disrespectful, it couldn't really be squashed because she felt like she wasn't wrong. So he's going off and she's antagonizing him. And that's pretty much where the episode ends. And I'm just like, Bria, sometimes it's better to just stop and listen. Like when people are saying something to you, you don't always have to go off. You can just listen and take it in and be like, oh, okay, my bad. Or I'm sorry. Or something. But I feel like she always got to immediately start popping off. And that is her biggest character flaw. Doesn't matter who it is, what the situation is, she always ready to pop off. And it's just like, girl, shut up. Just for 1 second. Shut up. Let people talk. Let them get it out. And I just I just don't like it. I know a lot of people had a lot of thoughts about this episode and how they felt about it. So let me know what you guys thought about it, how you guys felt about the girls' conversation. Like, I really don't think their conversation was that bad. Like, rehashing situations that you witnessed or experienced or whatever, I don't think it's bad. I think them talking about Nick, I don't think it's bad. That's what they witnessed. That's what they experienced. That's what they believe. They're kind of gossip girls, whatever. I don't think it's that bad. Where I think the problem is that's how y'all three work. Y'all be with the cheese man and giggling and laughing and joking and kikiing, and that's how y'all relationships work. Y'all let in an outsider, Natalie, and she came in and didn't know how y'all keyed, right? And because she didn't know how y'all did that, she went and took things too far and then caused a problem for everybody. So I really, really think that the conversation isn't really the problem. It's how they went about it and how they let in an outsider. But I could be wrong, right? Some people think the conversation itself was wrong. They should have never had it. But I'm a little biased. I like a little cheese me, like it's not, I like a little key, right? When I go to parties and I see people doing it, be like, girl, you see what so and so did, and blah, blah, blah. He was really, having that conversation isn't really bad. But making a big deal or acting like he's something he's not, that's where it gets too much. Like, and that's what it was starting to sound like when they were getting defensive. You know what I mean? So, what do y'all think? Do y'all think that the conversation was bad, or do you think Natalie was bad, or both, or do you think that Nick overreacted? I mean, I don't know. It kind of runs the gamut. So please like, comment, subscribe, share. Let me know what you guys think. And I will see you guys next time. Probably not in a robe though, because I will be on the move. So, yes. Bye.